Hey guys, I sure coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. I'm glad to have you here talking a little bit of RSL with yours truly. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Some positive vibes, some love going out your way, especially again, if you guys need it. Today I'm going to talk about one of just the best, most versatile, legendary Void champions that everybody can eventually get your hands on in the game. And of course, it's YAKARL the SCOURGE, who used to be a really underwhelming Void legendary champion in the game.
Can't tell you how long I waited. See the look on your face.
And then he saw a massive buff and kind of rework to his kit a couple patches ago. I have not touched base since then, but I released a video, I don't know, a couple months ago, talking about one of the best free nukers, or the best free nuker I said at the time, that everybody can get, and it was actually a video about Yanaka. Now, I think that in terms of sheer damage, sheer nukage in the game, Yanaka is still probably the best free nuker out there. However, YAKARL is way better when it comes to control and still bringing a lot of damage to the table. So today, gonna highlight him in 3 different builds. But first, where can we get this champion? If you go to your clan, you go down to the clan shop. One of the best ways to use your clan tokens, is that what they are? Fragments? What are these things called? Is clan tokens? Clan gold. There we go. Sorry, guys. Light 'em up! One of the best ways to use your clan gold in your clan shop is to get YAKARL the SCOURGE fragments. So you can get 5 at a time. Eventually, you'll get yourself YAKARL, right? And not only that, but you'll be able to empower him as well if you already have him. So in terms of me, I already pulled him from a Void Shard, God knows how long ago. So we're actually going for our second copy right now of YAKARL so that we can eventually empower him, you know, get a +1 on YAKARL, or I can build 2 with different builds if I want to, but I would probably just empower him. Anyway, good use of your clan gold. I'm not going to forget that again. Clan gold, Ash. Come on, dude. Come on, bro. Let's go ahead and talk about build number 1. Then I'm going to switch things up. But actually, before we do any of that, let's just look at his kit and talk about why this champion is so special and attractive after this rework. So on his A1, a 2-time hitter, we have a 50% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn, ignoring 25% of the target's defense against target under freeze debuffs. A pretty hard-hitting A1. We'll look at the multipliers in just a moment here. On the A2, Blizzard Rider, a very, very good ability here, guys. Attacks 1 enemy, 100% chance decrease speed for 3 turns, 100% chance freeze debuff for 1 turn, steals 100% of the target's turn meter, places an increased speed buff on this champion for 3 turns, ignoring 50% of the target's defense against targets under freeze debuffs. Whoa, that is a mouthful, and it's an incredibly good single target ability out there. Really one of the better ones in the game, really, in terms of single target against people, especially or against champions. People, really, Ash?
Why am I not surprised?
Against champions with freeze, too, right? Because you're ignoring 50% of their defense, and it has a really strong multiplier. Again, we'll look at that at hellhades.com in just 1 moment. On the A3, Glaciate. They reworked this ability completely. 4-turn cooldown and AoE attack, 75% chance to place freeze debuff for 1 turn. This chance increases to 100 against targets with 75% or more turn meter. This debuff cannot be resisted by targets with 75% more or more turn meter. So really strong as kind of an opening move in the arena on a little bit of a quicker build that we're going to highlight here first. This is going to be a go second team build, but more on that in just a moment. Passive. Lord of Ice, a really good passive. 3-turn cooldown on the active effect, right? But on the passive effect, increase the damage this champion inflicts by 10% for each champion in battle under a freeze debuff. So in the arena, 40% extra damage if all of the opponents are under freeze. Really powerful there. Also decreases the damage this champion receives by 10% for each champion in battle under a freeze debuff. Really, really helpful to keep him alive, right? Kind of a squishier champion, so it's really nice to have that passive. Active effect, unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever they kill an enemy under a freeze debuff. Attack in all battles, 33%, and I have Soul Reaper. I do have a 1-star ascension on this champion. I have Soul Reaper mainly for the arena, okay? In terms of masteries, there's so many different ways you can build this champion. We're going to start out with this mastery, but I want to go ahead and change things in a little bit as well, so don't read too much into this. As we always say here on the channel, masteries really comes down to to the user of the champion, right? The team that they're going to be on, how you're going to build them. You're going to see much different masteries. We will have Helm Smasher pretty much on every build as a tier 6 choice, but it's really going to depend on the team around this champion, and again, the artifact build that we're going to go with. Now, the good news is, even on a go second build like this in Stone Skin, we can really use any of these builds in PvE content, okay? So we're going to have a fast build, we're going to have a nuker build, and we're going to have a go second build. But really, all 3 of these builds you could use on Doom Tower Waves. You could use against Dark Fae, which he's incredibly good at with that A2 ability. So before I show you this build, let me just compare him to a couple other champions, right? These are not going to be perfect comparisons, by the way, guys, because, you know, these champions are amazing in their own right. But when we talk about a lot of damage on one ability and the ability to lock them down, I look at Astralon, right? He has that AoE attack, very hard-hitting attack, and then he has the stun on all enemies on a 4-turn cooldown, okay? So his Glaciate ability is very similar to a Light of Sanctity. However, Astralon does hit a little bit harder, at least what I've noticed, because his attack scales really, really well, and his multipliers are really, really clean as well. But definitely a champion worth kind of comparing him to. While we're in Sacred Order, I keep clicking on High Elves too. Think about pairing YAKARL with other freeze champions. We're going to see him alongside of Glicia's Soul Guide. She has an AoE freeze on her A3 ability, because the more freeze champions that you have on the team, the better his kit's going to work, the more that passive is going to be activated as well, okay? So Glicia, you know, we'll run him with Greybeard as well, who's a farmable rare champion with freeze. Ninja is a great choice.
I am not amused.
I don't want to really mention his name too loud, lest you guys let me have it in the comments. Let me see your Carl's base stats here really quickly. So his base attack is pretty high, not quite as high as Astralon's, but pretty high as well. And as I said, if we look at the multipliers here on hellhades.com, you'll see they actually have a nice write-up on this champion, and they talk about his, upon release, he was average, difficult to use, but now a total comprehensive rework. Freeze is now the focus, and he has a Candrafon-esque passive, which increases his damage. So basically a lot better here. On his A1, he has a 1.8 multiplier, which they rank as godlike. On his A2, a 6 multiplier, which is definitely godlike. And then on his A3, a 3.8 attack multiplier, which again, they rank godlike, but I can guarantee that's a lot lower than a champion like Astralon. However, he brings more to the table, considering we can steal turn meter off that A2 ability as well. So I don't mean to compare him to say he's better or worse, just talking about the ability that having a CC, like the freeze, crowd control, on top of all that damage on the A3, puts him in a really, really select category of champions out there in the game. So you saw those multipliers, they were legit, man. This dude can hit hard. So what I want to do is, before I go into the arena and show you all 3 builds, I'm just going to run him in the 6-piece Stone Skin, which is honestly not the best Stone Skin gear I have on my account. Far from it, right? He's pretty slow, his crit damage is pretty low, but what you can do is, this guy shines if you're ever having any level of difficulty on Doom Tower Waves, right? And you don't have like a Seer activation team, or even a lot of people with Poison activation or Seer activation teams in Doom Tower. They run into that floor, Doom Tower hard especially, that they just can't make it even with their activation, with their Seer team, right? Because there's a lot of control on the other team, or whatever it may be, not enough speed, you know, different things for different people, right? But we're gonna go ahead and just put, you know, I mentioned Ninja.
Okay.
But I don't want to get you guys too pissed at me, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave Ninja off the team. We're just going to go ahead and put, you know, a farmable rare and War Maiden. Khazard is amazing. He's in a stun set as well. The idea here is with Syl the Drakes with a stun set Khazard, and with the freeze as well from not only YAKARL, but let's go ahead and get Greybeard. I might have to put some artifacts on him. But just having this sort of a strategy, adopting a strategy where you might not have all the best champions in the world. They might not be all Void OP legendaries. But vis-a-vis stun sets, freeze abilities, stun abilities, you can get through these waves and or these secret rooms just by controlling the match. Because if the opponents don't go, well, you can't lose, can you guys? So let me go ahead and get Greybeard some gear. Let me see how naked he is. You know what? Well, his accuracy is really low. I mean, we're not going to be landing any freezes like that. Let's go ahead and see what's the deal with Greybeard really quickly here. Sorry for making this super long. Normally I would just cut this stuff out, but I've been getting some feedback from some of you guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree, but a lot of you guys just like when I go through all the motions, you know, even though it might be a little bit slower and a longer of a video. So yeah, this is an unorthodox build to say the least. We have a frostbite set. People probably forgot that even exists. But hey, 50% chance to block freeze and 10% chance to place freeze debuff on the attacker. Again, nice synergy there with YAKARL, right? So I think it's actually not, it's not a good artifact set, but it's a 2-piece set, and it's a nice kind of like this, right? We're going to have double perception. And then Frostbite, not a bad little addition, right? Especially for a wave clear, exactly the way that we're going to be using this champion. So I only really have one shield maxed out. Actually, I have a rare too. I'm looking for a little bit of accuracy. We get it there, so 266 is a lot better. As I said, Greybeard has an AoE freeze on his A2. Granted, it's only a 40% chance, but, you know, it's better than nothing. So I would run Ninja instead, but let's go ahead and run this squad. Again, he's probably not in the most ideal build. That is YAKARL here. He's in a stone skin 2-piece set here, but hey, it's going to keep him alive anyway, and you're going to start to see those stuns go up and those freezes go up on the enemies. The beautiful thing is with that A2 ability, which sometimes if you leave him on auto, he'll just open up with that A2. He can steal turn meter, and if their turn meter is close to full, he can almost get back-to-back turns off of that A2 and A3, making him a very viable, not just control champion, but also, again, nuker with that back-to-back high multiplier damage dealing abilities, right? So here we go through the first wave, no big deal. I think we're on floor, like, I didn't even check. I think 60-ish on Doom Tower hard. So this is where things start to really scale in terms of difficulty. The mobs have they're level 273. They have tons and tons of HP. That's why we always want to bring a reviver just in case, which is why we have my girl Syl the Drakes on the squad, right? So here we go. Normally, I would probably be, if I'm struggling with this, I would turn auto off, and I would just see he uses A3 ability against a single target mob. We don't want that, right? We want to go ahead and A1 cycle, especially for new players. I think that most of you guys probably already know this, but just cycle those A1 abilities so we're nice and fresh going into the new wave of enemies here. But you can see, again, we're landing, we have Khazard as a secondary debuffer. He's bringing the weak version of decreased defense, which is better than nothing. And you can see we're actually going to take some damage here. We lose 2 of our champions, but we do have our reviver back up. She's actually going to go in with the A2 instead and make sure she can continue to try to stun everybody. Then she's going to revive Khazard, excuse me. Going to go say War Maiden.
Why not?
But you can see we're getting a lot of freezes here. More freezes here. So again, between the freezes and the stuns, you know, we're doing pretty well. Just keep in mind, though, on the freeze, the enemies are going to be taking a little bit less damage. That's why stun is a little bit better than freeze in a vacuum. But you know what? Either way, you can't really go wrong, can you? So again, we're coming in there with Ice Crush, not doing any ice damage, though. YAKARL lands a freeze off of his A1 ability, and then Syl comes in there. Stun, decrease speed, beautiful control on a team like this. And again, this is a free champion in Syl, 2 farmable champions in a random rare with a clan shop legendary. And this a team like this, especially if we didn't have it on auto, we could take a squad like this and get through a lot of the more challenging waves. And hey, if you have better options like a Ninja on your account, you're going to be even better equipped. I purposely kind of dumbed this team down. No offense to the Greybeard fans out there, but I put basically the easiest champions to get that I could possibly find on this squad. We do have 3 provokes down, including on our reviver. So let's see how we fare here. We are putting down a bunch of freezes, though, on the enemy team. 3 of them. So again, that's going to be 30% damage mitigation on YAKARL, not to mention 30% more damage as well. Syl the Drakes is not very healthy right now, but again, we're landing that Glaciate, getting a freeze on as many enemies, plus the stun as humanly possible. We pick up the little dwarf Khazard deep heart, and we're looking really healthy here. Extra turn. I forgot I even had my Syl the Drakes in Relentless, but this is the type of team that you guys want to consider building no matter where you are in the game that you're struggling with a particular wave, right? And you can see this is not even over yet. I kind of called this battle early, but let's see. We got a lot of work to do here. Greybeard, man. Revive on death on all of these cats here. Who is even in this wave? Crimson Helm with the revive on death. Faceless, 2 Crimson Helms, a Whirlum Frost King, and a Ghostborn on the enemy team. Let's see. Revive on death. Doesn't matter if we kill him here. We do land a couple freezes. We come back in with a provoke. Greybeard has a provoke on his A1. And, all right, this is getting a little bit boring here, guys. A little boring, but I think we're going to get the job done at this point, right? I don't want to speak too soon. Crimson Helm, don't screw me up. Okay, we're looking good. We're looking good. But again, guys, it would be even easier because I would A1 cycle if I didn't have it on an auto attack. So I wanted to start with this run, even though it was kind of long, maybe a little bit of boring stuff compared to the arena. I just wanted to illustrate how to get through any of these waves with a champion like YAKARL kind of running the point on the team like this in terms of control. A champion like Syl in, in a supporting role. And keep in mind, again, I have a stun set on my man, Khazar Deepheart. Soulbound Bowyer you could use in that same role and just pound the A1s, use the A3 to steal turn meter, or excuse me, to reduce turn meter if you need it. But a team like this can be very, very effective. Obviously, a lot of damage coming from YAKARL there, almost 1 million, leading the team by far here. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the arena. I want to show you him on a go second squad. I'm not very high up in the arena right now, obviously goal 4, but I will select teams that are appropriate given, what we have on our squad. So I actually want to pick first. I want to go against a team that is a kind of a go first, quick nuker team. So maybe not the best team in the world here, but Ursaga, Ethos, Deke on the enemy team, I know they're going to go first. So the team that I built to start things out here, guys, is going to be a high resist team, hence the team power. If you build high resist on any team, you're going to have a lot of team power. So if you ever see another team in the arena with a super high team power, it's safe to say usually they have a lot of resist. So just be prepared for when you go in that battle. Make sure you have enough accuracy or a plan B to beat that opponent. You know what? We have Kyoko in the lead. I actually want to change that to getting the resist in all battles by the brand new champion Pythion. So he's going to be acting as our reviver in this particular team. You could use Mighty Uko in that sort of a role as well. As I mentioned, we have Glishia Soul Guide. This is going to be a perfect champion to go against champions like Yameko and Warlord, preventing the cooldown of skills, not to mention setting the table with block debuffs on all allies and a freeze on all enemies, okay? So I have Glishia in, I believe, a Stone Skin. Well, we'll see when we get into battle here. I do have a bolster set on Pythion. I want to stay Stone Skin, Stone Skin, Stone Skin on these 3, but time will tell. So this is a great go second option against faster teams, okay? I would rather go with one of the other builds that I'm going to show you guys, that I'm a little bit more excited about for the arena, but I did want to show you a Stone Skin build as well, because really there's a lot of different ways to use this champion. So we're going to start out with a freeze and block debuffs. So you can see 1, 2, 3, freeze enemies on the other team. That's going to be perfect. So what I can do here is I can see Deke's turn meter. I mean, I'm going to go in with the A2 instead of the A3. They're already frozen anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and ignore 50% of defense. And I'm going to steal his whole turn meter. Check it out. Bad news is we barely did any damage. Good news is we stole his whole turn meter, so we're going to go next anyway, right? And that's the beauty of YAKARL. So I guess I'm just going to A1 into Arbiter here with Pythion. And we're going to come in with a Kyoko. She's going to get a nice little nuke here on the A2 as well. A little bit extra damage. Now we come in with a Glaciate. We still have Stone Skin, keep in mind. Why do we have Stone Skin on this champion, guys? This is a question worth asking, right? Because we're using him in more of a control fashion than an all-out nuke fashion. And the worst thing for YAKARL is having him get CC'd or killed before he can go. So on a slow build like this, he's pretty slow. I think he's 190-ish speed. We'll look in a moment. I mean, you have to be careful, right? Because if he gets CC'd, he's no good to you, If he dies, he's no use to you either, right? We need him to stay alive, either by making him fast, putting him in immunity, or putting him in Stone Skin so he can stay alive with the bolster on the same team as well. Let's go ahead and finish this one off. Come on, guys. There's that Glaciate. He finishes off everybody. Well done, well done, well done. Let me go ahead and do one more with this build before we switch things up really quickly here. Array Kymar team. I'm looking for a little bit more of a nukage. I guess... No, these teams are not hard enough. All right, guys, so I just went gem broke. You can see I have 4 left to my name. I have no silver. I have no gems. I kept refreshing to try to find a Warlord or Yameko team, right? Like a team that's going to put my skills on cooldown so I could showcase Glacia's passive, and I could not find one. Of course, when I want to find one, that's or when I don't want to see a Warlord or Yameko, that's all I see. But this would be the type of team that I would put in against the Yameko or Warlord team. You know, so unfortunately the A2 did get feared off of him, but not the end of the world. Let's go ahead and we can't land. Let's just go with the we can land a freeze against Mashald, which is better than nothing. Let's go ahead and cleanse here. We're just going to cleanse YAKARL with Pythion's A2. We're going to come in with the A3 again of Kyoku, ally protect. Unkillable on herself, decrease attack on, well, at least Mashald. A big, heavy hit from Trunda, but again, against a team like this, we're not that worried about a Trunda Guilt Mallet, and now we can really get into our thing here. We go A2, now we're going to be able to glaciate with the A3 of YAKARL and kill, well, most of them. Let's go ahead and poke around at Arbiter, see if we can finish her off with just the A1s here, and we get close. And this one's pretty much done. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and use the A1 of YAKARL to finish off Madame Ceres. And there we go. Let me go ahead and change this build. I'll be right back, guys. All right, guys. So we changed the build a little bit here. By the way, I just had to point out, I didn't do it earlier. He's the only barbarian. And it's for my money, I think, the only champion in the game that has a different background than everybody else in his faction, which I really love. I wish they would do that a little bit more. Am I wrong? Is there another champion out there? Or is YAKARL the only champion? He's a barbarian, but instead of having a desert, well, I guess he does have a desert, but it's a snowy desert, which is really cool. Anyway, guys, we have build number 2, which I really like. This is kind of an underrated build. It's not the all-out nuker. He's not in lethal. He's not in savage. And he doesn't have crit damage on his gauntlets either, right? So we're sacrificing some damage here in order to put him in an immunity set as a control champion. We'll have another damage dealer alongside him on the team. So a very modest 99, 150 in crit rate, crit damage. We have him a lot faster with a bit more accuracy at 406. Now, even more accuracy would be even better if I had to nitpick this build a little bit. We're not so concerned with survivability because we want to go first on this team. So this is a speed control build where we open up with the glaciate ability, or of course we can still open up with the A2 if we want to. The cool thing is with the accuracy being, you know, not that high, considering we're going to be in the arena, we'd like to have that at like 600, 700, 800 accuracy. Well, at least we have that debuff cannot be resisted by targets with 75% or more turn meter. On a go first team, that's often going to be the case if we go first, right? So that's why I'm not as concerned as I normally would be in terms of the overall accuracy on this champion. And with an immunity set, he cannot be CC'd as well, which is exactly where we want from our CC champion.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
You'll see that I did have to buy gems after I said I was not going to do that at all. Because why? Because I had to redo the Masteries. And I redid the Masteries, and I just changed to go down the support tree and picked up the accuracy Masteries, but I still kept our tier 6 the same with, and of course, we find a Warlord team. Of course, we find a Warlord team, man. Ah, that's annoying. All right, let's go against this squad here, guys. Let's build a go first team. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build the team from scratch with you guys really quickly here. So let's get this team out of here real quick. And then let's go recently used. Actually, let's just go by rank and get, you know what we can do, actually? We can use an already existing Arbiter team, right? That will be easier. Then we can go recently used. We can take our boy YAKARL, put him on this squad. He's going to be our control champion going after Madame Ceres. She's going to be setting the table, removing their buffs before he goes. And then we can run a nuker in that last position. It doesn't matter who we use as long as they have gear on them right now. Who do I have with decent gear? You know what? Let's use somebody that we never use. I don't care who it is. Let's just use somebody, you know, Karato. We never use Karato. Let's use him. You guys know me if you've been watching this channel any amount of time. Actually, you know what? I take it back. Let's use our man Constantine, the Dayborn here. Let's use Constantine, right? We haven't used him in a long time. I just want to make sure he has artifacts. He does. We're good there. So he's going to be our nuker. Okay, so now we have kind of 2 nukers on the team, and YAKARL's playing that kind of control role, which I really love this build. So here we go. We go first. Madame Ceres comes in here. She debuffs the enemy team. YAKARL comes in here. He puts everybody on freeze. He kills them in the process. And then we can just finish them off with our main man, our nuker, who goes last, Constantine. Now, if I had to critique this team, one thing about it, I don't think we have YAKARL quite fast enough, right? We don't want the enemy team to be able to cut us, especially if that champion like Valkyrie or something like that on their squad. But we're going to be okay so far in these battles. Again, we're going to go. He's nice and fast. He's going to go in there with the freeze. Perfect. And then Quietude. You'll see the power of Quietude on Constantine. We can one-shot the reviver so that she doesn't revive everybody, obviously. So really cool build here, and you can see he's still dealing some decent damage, guys, even though, you know, this is not the first build that I want to say most people think of when they think of this champion, right? Most people are like, no, damage, all out damage, you know? Let's go against this squad here. A Chris, a Lord Shazar, a Sify, kind of an interesting squad that we're going against here, right? Mountain King as well. They got the double shield there with Krisk and Mountain King in a shield set. We're going to come in here, remove all those buffs. We're going to come in, glaciate again. Now with 400 accuracy, they still can't resist the freeze because their turn meters were close to full, right? So now we're going to do the same. Actually, let's just go in with the A2. Boom, and boom, everybody's dead. You love to see it. What a strong team. And again, it's a little bit unorthodox. Like I said, at risk of saying it 150 times here, it's not the build that I would say most people probably associate with this champion. I think most people just want to build him all-out nuke, but you can get a really lot of versatility in having him come in this control role. This is kind of an interesting one here, right? Let's go against a Hegemon. Let's go against a Cardial. We have immunity, so that's going to prevent us from our skills being put on cooldown from Hegemon, but let's just see how much of a nuke he can do. There's a nice little challenge here for us. I'm going to take it off auto here. Going to come in again, debuff everybody, and then glaciate. And we're going before Cardial, and we CC Cardial, which is the most important thing here. And we did lose all turn meter, though, unfortunately, on our man. So, our nuker, I should say. So I'm going to come in here and steal all of Cardial's turn meter. Boom. And he's dead at the same time. We go ahead and boost there. Now we can come in and, again, kill everybody, hopefully. Yes, we do. All right, let me build the nuker build. I'll be right back. All right, guys, we moved to the nuker build. And again, these are probably my best gauntlets on the account, by the way. Crit damage with crit rate and savage. We do have attack percentage on the chest. Sorry for not showing the artifacts earlier. We have speed on the boots, but I am broke. As I said, I have no silver at all right now. So I'm just going to run with level 12 speed boots. Ideally, they would be level 16, obviously. And again, we're looking for crit rate. So as much as possible and crit damage on our substats. That way we can get those crit damage gauntlets on this champion. That is the way that I like to build nukers here. Crit damage also on the amulet. One note, guys, nothing wrong with going, if you have god tier gear, with going attack percentage, especially on a go second build that we showed in the beginning of this video. It just depends on where else you're going to be using this champion and how good speed stats you can find to supplement the fact that they're super slow. But in a stone skin set, as we showed in the first build, I mean, there's nothing wrong with building a very slow and, you know, slow moving champion. That way the stone skin stays on them throughout the entire duration of the battle. But either way, guys, we're staying with Helm Smasher. I told you guys earlier, but I didn't change anything on the offensive side. Ruthless Ambush, Opportunist, ending with Helm Smasher, but we did pick up the support Masteries. Master Hexer obviously not going to affect the freeze, but it will affect the decreased speed on his A2. So now we have the nuker build, 109, 242, 323, enough to get some of those freezes off, and we still benefit from that A3 as well. So let's go ahead and do a quick nuker. Stop it, Plarium! I don't want to buy everything!
Oh, but you already did that.
Alright guys, so now that we have a nuker build, I switched the team around and we have Prince Kymar in a role that YAKARL was in on the previous build, on the control build. Now Kymar is going to be our control champion, and this is how it works. We don't care so much about the speed of our nuker. Of course, a little bit faster is generally better on this particular team. However, we're going to go in there, we're going to put them to sleep. That way they don't go next. Candyman will be going here though, so let's see how hard he can hit. Luckily not that hard. So now we don't want to wake up our sleeping Duchess, so we do just want to poke at Arbiter. Annoying team with Cardial and everything else they got going on here, but we can just CC them right now or kill them. And that was the power of the nukage of our boy YAKARL the SCOURGE, right? So obviously it is, he's quite the nuker when you build him for all-out damage here. Let's go against this squad too here. They have a Cupidus, they have another Cardial, a Duchess, and again, just to do a quick damage check, there's not much crazy to see here with a nuker. The biggest thing is making sure we have no immunity gear on him this time. We have the Savage or the lethal gear. Actually, he opened up. You can see I had it on manual with the A2, still stole all the turn meter, and then went back in with the nuke after that. So really, really cool champion. Super, I don't know if he's underrated anymore, but definitely a really, really great champion and a great option for you guys to go after in any of these builds. Let me know which one that you prefer out of the 3 builds. Hopefully you find this video useful. Again, ending the video with some love and positive vibes going your way. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.